You cut out the sugar, you went low carb, you started walking after every meal, and that belly around your middle still will not move. If that is you, I want you to stop blaming yourself for 1 minute. Because all of that effort is aimed at your stomach and your bathroom scale, when the organ that actually decides what happens to that fat sits a little higher up, tucked right under your ribs on the right side, your liver. I'm Dr. John Myers, and in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you a bitter morning drink I make in about 60 seconds for right around $2. 3 ingredients, all from your regular grocery store, all keto friendly. It is an old ritual for waking up a sluggish liver and getting your digestion working with you instead of against you. And I will walk you through exactly what to realistically expect, week 1 into week 2. Now, before you click away because you think you have already heard the fatty liver talk, give me a second. Because the part that matters here is not really the 3 ingredients themselves. It is the fact that you taste them. That is the whole reason this is a drink you sip and not a capsule you swallow. Stay with me and it will make sense. And to be fair, cutting the sugar and walking after meals is good. Keep doing both. They are just working on the top floor of the house when the problem might be down in the basement. I took everything I tell my own patients and put it into one simple plan for living longer, stronger, and healthier after 60. 28 of the things that actually change as you get older: your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your memory, your balance, and those are only some of them. What is really happening inside you, and the one simple thing you do about it for every single one. Thousands of people are already using it to take back their health. Every one of them started right where you are, with something on their mind that nobody ever had the time to sit down and explain. The difference is they stopped waiting to find out how it ends. It is on your screen right now, and it is drjohnmyers.com. All right, back to that liver of yours. Let me back up and tell you what your liver is actually doing all day, because once this clicks, the whole drink makes sense. Your liver is the most underrated organ you have. Medical sources will tell you it runs more than 500 separate jobs. It filters your blood, it helps balance your hormones, it helps hold your blood sugar steady. And here's the job almost nobody talks about at a regular checkup. Your liver is the control center for fat. It helps decide whether the fat you carry gets burned for energy or packed away into storage. When your liver is running clean, it burns fat and sends it out as fuel. When it gets overloaded with fat of its own, that whole system starts working against you. Some of that fat gets stored inside the liver itself, and more of it gets pushed deep into your belly, wrapped around your organs. That deep belly fat has a name: visceral fat. It is the firmer kind that pushes your waistband out from the inside, and it is the dangerous kind because it pumps out inflammation and drives insulin resistance, and it feeds nearly every metabolic problem we are trying to stay away from after 60. The softer fat just under your skin is far less of a threat. It is the deep stuff that does the damage. And here's the number that stops people. A large analysis published in JAMA Network Open estimated that roughly 1 in 3 American adults now has a fatty liver. 1 in 3. Most of them have no idea because a fatty liver is quiet. It does not hurt. It just sits there and makes that belly a lot harder to lose. So what is a fatty liver really? Years of seed oils, sugar, and heavily processed food give the liver more than it can send back out. So fat starts collecting inside the liver cells. Doctors call it steatosis, which just means fat stored in an organ that was never built to hold much of it. And a liver that is loaded up with fat cannot process the fat in your food nearly as well. That is why walking and cutting sugar, good as they are, can feel like they hit a wall. So how does the liver clear fat in the first place? This is the part that makes the drink make sense. Your liver does not break fat down on its own. It makes a fluid called bile. Bile gets stored in your gallbladder, that little pouch tucked right under the liver, and bile does to fat exactly what dish soap does to grease. Cold water alone will not rinse a greasy pan. The soap grabs the grease and breaks it into tiny beads that wash away. Bile does that same job to the fat in your meals, breaking big globs of fat into tiny droplets your body can actually digest and use. Good bile flow is a big part of digesting a fatty meal comfortably. Now here's where the bitter comes in and why you have to taste it. 2 things get your gallbladder to release a fresh dose of bile. The first is fat itself. When real fat shows up in your gut, your body sends out a hormone called cholecystokinin, CCK for short, and CCK tells the gallbladder to squeeze and deliver bile right where it is needed. The second is older, and it is the one we lost: bitter. Eating something bitter before a meal is one of the oldest digestive traditions we have. Before a big meal, our grandparents and their grandparents had something sharp and bitter first: dandelion greens, arugula, a splash of vinegar. The bitter taste seems to wake the digestive system up through the nerves in your gut, getting it ready before the food even lands. The research in people is still early, so I am not going to oversell it. But the tradition goes back thousands of years for a reason, and then over the last century we pulled the bitter foods off the table and made almost everything sweet. And that little pre-meal signal quietly disappeared. This is why it is a drink you taste and not a pill you swallow. Swallow a capsule and your tongue never gets the message. The bitter on your tongue is the oldest part of this whole ritual. So let me show you how to make it. 3 ingredients, about 60 seconds, right around $2. Ingredient number 1 is dandelion root tea. This is your bitter base, the heart of the drink. Dandelion root has been used as a bitter tonic for the liver for a very, very long time. And in animal studies, it does increase the flow of bile. I will be honest with you, the solid human studies are still thin, so I am giving you the traditional use and the animal science, not a miracle. You want the plain kind, no added flavors, just dandelion root, loose or in bags. What matters most is that you steep it strong. It should genuinely taste bitter. If it tastes like warm water, you did not steep it long enough. Use 2 bags next time and give it a few more minutes. Ingredient number 2, squeeze in half a fresh lemon. Now, lemon is really more sour than bitter, so I am not going to pretend it does the same job as the dandelion. But the citrus oil in the peel adds a nice brightness, and a lot of people find lemon settles the stomach in the morning. Use a fresh lemon over the bottle juice because fresh just has more life to it. If you like it cold in the summer like I do, you can blend up whole organic lemons, peel and all, freeze them in an ice cube tray, and drop 1 cube into your tea. If you are using that peel, buy organic because conventional lemons get sprayed heavily and that ends up in the oil. Ingredient number 3 is the one that makes people squint at me. 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And yes, I mean oil right in your tea. Here is why. Remember that CCK signal. A little real fat is the natural trigger that tells your gallbladder to squeeze and send out bile. So you get the bitter taste to wake things up, and then a small dose of good fat right behind it to prompt that fresh release of bile. Give it a stir. It will look a little oily on top. That is completely fine. That is how it is supposed to look. Just do not add honey or sugar or any sweetener because the sweet works against the bitter, and the bitter is the whole point of the exercise. Real quick, before I show you how to take it. If this is the kind of plain, no hype explanation you have been looking for, subscribe and give this video a like. And share it with someone whose belly has been driving them crazy. It genuinely helps the channel reach more people like you. Okay, here is how you actually take it. First thing in the morning on an empty stomach, before your coffee and before food. Make the drink and sip it slowly over about 10 minutes. Then wait at least 30 to 45 minutes before you eat, if you eat that early at all. That quiet gap lets your digestion do its thing without a big meal landing on top of it. And I will not lie to you, that first sip is bitter. But somewhere around week 2, a lot of people start to actually crave it. Your body tends to figure out pretty fast when a habit is sitting well with it. Now here's a small test you can run at home. After that first cup, give it about 20 minutes and notice 2 things. 1, does your stomach feel a little warm, like something gentle switched on in there? 2, do you feel a bit less bloated than a normal morning? If it is yes to either, that is a good sign your digestion is responding. And if you feel nothing the first day, do not worry about it. Some folks need a week of doing this every single morning before they notice much at all. So let me tell you what is realistic to expect week by week, because I want to set the right expectation, not sell you a fantasy. Week 1, the first 3 days. Some people feel a little queasy that first morning, especially on an empty stomach. That is normal. If it happens to you, cut the olive oil back to a half tablespoon the next day and build up slowly. By around day 4 or 5, a lot of people notice their morning bloating easing off, their bathroom trips getting more regular, and a few even say their skin looks a bit clearer. Week 2 is where the everyday changes tend to show up. The one people mention most is steadier morning energy, where you are not leaning on coffee just to feel like a person. And a lot of folks tell me their waistband feels a little less tight around the middle. Now, I want to be straight about that because it matters. Early on, a looser waistband is usually less bloating and better digestion, not pounds of fat gone. Real fat around the middle comes off slowly, over weeks and months, and it comes off because of the whole picture, your food and your movement, not because of one cup of tea. Which brings me to the honest part, the way I would say it to my own patients. This drink is not a fat burner, and no morning tonic melts belly fat on its own. Anyone who promises you that is selling something. If you are eating processed junk all day, this will not rescue you, because you are pouring in the very stuff your liver is trying to keep up with. Where this earns its keep is as a small daily habit on top of real food. Eggs, meat, vegetables, healthy fats, the basics. A bitter morning ritual that supports your digestion, paired with eating like an adult and moving your body. And that is where the belly actually starts to come down. The drink helps around the edges. The real work is on your plate and on your feet. And before we finish, I have to draw some clear lines because bitter herbs are gentle, but they are not for everyone. And a lot of you watching are on medication. If you have ever had gallstones or you think you might, talk to your doctor before you try this. Bitter herbs can get a gallbladder squeezing, and a stone on the move can turn into a real emergency. If you have had your gallbladder removed, start with just a teaspoon of the olive oil, not a full tablespoon. And this is the big one for our age group. If you are on blood thinners, water pills, blood pressure medication, lithium, or if you have kidney trouble, check with your doctor before you start, because dandelion is a mild diuretic. It carries potassium, and it can interact with a number of common prescriptions. And if you are allergic to ragweed or daisies, dandelion is in that same family, so go easy. None of that is meant to scare you off. It is just the honest fence around a real tool. So let me bring this all the way back. For a lot of you, that belly is really a liver story. It sits downstream of an organ that runs on bile, and this little drink is an old, cheap way to support that flow and your digestion, first thing in the morning. 3 ingredients, about $2, 60 seconds, alongside real food and a daily walk. That is the whole thing. If this helps something finally click for you, do me a quick favor on your way out. Hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, and leave me a comment telling me what you felt after your first cup, because I do read them. Take good care of that liver, and it will help take care of the rest of you.